To get a jump on the economy part, we first welcome White House National Economic Council Director Larry Kudlow, and after we'll give equal time to Biden economist Ben Harris. Larry, great to have you on the show. Up until the COVID crisis, let's start with this. The president consistently said the U.S. is enjoying the greatest economy on record, and indeed, unemployment was at historic lows. S&P enjoyed 128 record closes, but once COVID hit, we did see living proof of perhaps how shallow employment was for many Americans. It exposed how they were living hand to mouth. And yes, job creation spiked in Trump's first 3 years. Wages moved up, but surveys show only 40% of U.S. adults have $400 in savings, 32 million filing for unemployment, food banks overwhelmed. So, Larry, here's my question. Can you really say that the economy was amazing for everyone, the best ever? And should President Trump win a second term, what will he do to fix that, to give it more depth?
Well, look, Liz, with respect, every single measure shows that people were better off. And I'm talking about the Census Bureau measures on family income, the Federal Reserve consumer finance measures. I can't vouch for everything that you mentioned, but those are the measures, 2017, 18, and 19. This was the first raise in wages. And you can call it family income, or you can call it just plain old living standards. The first increase for middle and lower middle class Americans really since the year 2000, but most particularly much greater than anything done in the prior 8 years. And the president takes great credit for that, and he's very proud of that. You can go through any of these numbers. The increase last year, $4,400. That's after inflation. 5 times the rate that we had in the prior 8 years for the whole 8-year period. And if you look at the wage numbers and the job numbers, I mean, it's just not true. Pre-pandemic, it was the middle class, it was the blue collars and lower who had the largest wage gains, much bigger than the top 10% or even the top 1%. Those are wages. So these are terrific numbers, and I will say that the policies of liberalizing the economy and providing new incentives, lower taxes across the board, and deregulation, particularly among small business, unleashed a wave of middle-class prosperity, the likes of which we haven't seen in over 20 years.
Well, I'm glad you brought up the tax cuts, because the GOP and President Trump's Tax Cuts and Job Act simplified tax brackets, cut tax rates, specifically, though, to corporate tax rates. It went from 35%, of course, among the highest in the developed world, all the way down to 21%, arguably making us more competitive, luring business back to the U.S. The president said that the tax cuts for corporations would pay for themselves. But, Larry, they have not. 2018, the first year, so I'm taking out COVID because that is just a force majeure situation, but the first year of the tax cuts, revenue shortfall was almost immediate. Corporate tax revenues plummeted 31%. You can see on the screen, from $297 billion down to $204 billion. Given this best ever growth of the economy, why such a massive spike in the deficit? What happened to the promised revenue?
Lizzie, sure, right after the tax cut, you're going to see drop in revenues, okay? You go from 35% to 21%, all right? Companies get to hold more of their own money, large and small businesses, new incentives, fabulous returns, whether you're a small business or a publicly held company, of course. However, if you look at the CBO numbers, now Kevin Hassett and I and others, we've been through this with a fine-tooth comb. Every time the CBO does a study, before taxes, before the tax cut and after the tax cut, they showed that the increases in nominal GDP from which revenues come, and therefore the increase in revenues, actually rose significantly. Now, not in the first quarter of 2018, because the bill was signed in December. But once you get into late 18 and all of 19, the corporate tax cuts have more than paid for themselves. In fact, the last pre-pandemic measure from the CBO showed that almost the entire package, they showed, if I'm not mistaken, either 1.2 trillion or 1.3 trillion in increased revenues from their earlier estimate. The bill was statically estimated at 1.5. So I just can't agree with you. I'm sorry. You and I are old friends, but I got to push back on this stuff because that's what the numbers show.
Well, I'm telling you that the numbers also show that President Trump had $297 billion in corporate tax receipts in 2017, and then they dropped. They are climbing back, and the expectation is to see in 2020 $260 billion, but that's still not $297 billion.
Of course, when you cut
as
taxes,
you say, but
the first instance is yes. But then, as the growth takes hold and the job creation takes hold, and people come into the workforce with higher wages, which is exactly what happened, then you see your tax revenues go up. Look, the theory here, and I believe it was proven out, lower corporate taxes provided the biggest benefits to the middle, the blue collars, the Main Street, and the lower wage income. They had larger percentage gains than the upper group, and that's what we had promised. We had promised them higher living standards and more jobs and higher wages, and that's what they got.
Okay, I want to go to infrastructure. Specifically, the president's plan versus Donald Trump's plan. When you talk about that, you know, it's interesting to see that Joe Biden's website, he expects to have $2 trillion in infrastructure spending. A lot of it is similar to what the actual spending for President Trump is promised to be. That's transit, all kinds of investment in highways, not to mention build out of 5G and broadband. However, we're still waiting on an exact figure. I've heard 1.5 trillion from President Trump. I've heard 1 trillion. Can you clarify the number for our viewers?
Well, no, I can't. At this point, I can't, because these are guesstimates, okay? Mr. Biden's are guesstimates. Look, we tried to negotiate a bipartisan infrastructure bill on several occasions. I personally was in the room and was deeply involved in this, but we couldn't. We just couldn't make a deal with a Democratic House and a Republican Senate. What's going to happen, my guess is, the highway bill, so-called, will be extended through the end of the year, maybe next March. And maybe that'll be $80 or $100 billion. But yes, President Trump wants to increase infrastructure. And by the way, he has said many times, not only roads, bridges, tunnels, very important, okay, it's also pipelines and energy terminals. In other words, we have executive orders which have opened the door to the building of pipelines north, south, east, west, so that this gigantic bulge in natural gas, which is a clean fuel, can help the east and northeast states so they don't have to buy their energy from Russia. And we're going to do it on the other side, too, up through Alaska into the Pacific. So that's one of the things that he'd love to do. And unfortunately, Mr. Biden wants to shut down fracking and essentially end fossil fuels, and I think that would be a disaster.
I want to get quickly to the elephant in the room: entitlements, Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid. Guys like billionaire Home Depot founder Ken Langone have said many times, means test for Social Security, meaning reduce or eliminate benefits for higher income recipients like him. You know, 100 millionaire, billionaire class. Would you be for, and was the president for, means testing?
No, he hadn't spoken on that at all. Look, Ken Langone's a great man and friend. I would just say this. Right now, President Trump wants to defer the payroll tax, which would give a 6.25% raise.
Doesn't that borrow from Social Security later?
No, it does not, because just as the Obama administration did in 2010 or 11, you borrow some money, you run it through the general fund, and then you exchange it for non-marketable treasury certificates with the Social Security Trust Fund. It's a short-term measure. We would like to create new work incentives, not only for those who are opportune enough to have jobs through this pandemic, but for those coming into the workforce. We're going to offer them, it's about $1,000 per person. Now, longer term, we will look at all of these measures. Right now, this is not the time to do that. It's not the time to be raising taxes on anybody. You know, you've just had a pandemic contraction. You yourself are quoting all these numbers and how bad it was. I think it's recovering with a terrific, strong V shape. But in any event, this is not the time to raise taxes or, for that matter, regulations. And I think Mr. Biden is outside the mainstream. He wants across-the-board tax hikes, and it'll hit everybody. And I think that's an extremist point of view.
We're going to get to that in just a minute.
That is an extremist point of view.
He does say, Larry, just to clarify, because we're dealing with facts, Biden has said that he will not tax anybody who makes $400,000 or less. But Larry, we've got to run because we're giving equal time to both of you.
Yeah, that's a great point that he makes. But the reality is he's going to repeal the Trump tax cuts. It's the Trump tax cuts that provided massive new benefits for the middle class. You repeal those tax cuts and you are going to take those benefits away. And this is the wrong time to pick the pockets of middle-income, blue-collar workers going back to work.
Larry, thank you. I know it's a busy day for you. We so appreciate you coming on the Clayman Countdown for our economic undercard. We kind of put this all together, and we appreciate you being part of it.